Thank you for being a part of this morning. I'm going to dive right into the lesson that we have for this morning of how to be a better leader. And the title of this one is Be the Leader You Want Your Children to Follow, or others for that matter, but even if you're not a parent. So you'll understand that a little more as we dive in. But the objective here is to help parents become the kind of leader that their children and others would want to follow. That is with our embodying integrity, empathy, and consistency in our daily and everyday life. So listen to this. Your children know the real you, right? They know the person behind the curtain, the person off the stage, the person out of the limelight. And they see you when the cameras are off and when the stress is high and the question is, would they want to follow you?
Right.
And if they don't want to follow you, then why should anyone else? So this is important for us. And so this helps us shore up our ship, right? Get it ship shape. That's hard to say, right? Say that 5 times fast. But leadership isn't just about charisma or control. It's about our character. It's about who we are when the cameras are off. It's about who we are when we're not in the limelight. And so children are the most honest of our audience that we'll ever have. They spot hypocrisy in an instant. Yeah. And oftentimes they'll call us out in a crowd of people. And I can remember some stories of our children, bringing up some embarrassing moments in the public. And so I'm sure you can remember some too. But listen, this teaching today is not only if you have kids, but even if you don't, it's being the leader others will want to follow. So the goal here is to lead in a way that earns trust and inspires growth and models integrity. So number one, this is for us today. Our core practice is this. Number one is to listen first, lead second. Listen first, lead second. So leadership begins with understanding. Listening builds trust and shows respect. Hey, guess what? God gave us one mouth and 2 ears, right? And so we need to do a lot of listening. We need to pay attention. Sometimes our children will reveal something that we need to take a closer look at, because we get caught up in the everyday, the hustle and bustle of life. And we sometimes don't see the things that others see. John Maxwell calls it the blind spots, right? The blind spots. And we don't see them because they're blind spots.
Right.
And sometimes it takes others to point that out. Now, if we find some others in our life that we can trust and we can ask, hey, how is my leadership going in this area of my life? And allow them to speak into our life, and they will most of the time. But our children, they'll let us know whenever they see it. So they have a way of keeping us humble. So at home, you want to let your children finish their thoughts before jumping in. Imagine how that would work even in the workplace. Too often we know how this machine should run, so we say do this, and this, and go to it. But they may see something else that we don't see. If you've ever seen an episode of The Undercover Boss, the undercover boss is usually a CEO who has never even worked in the business before. He or she is good at administration and management, but they've never seen the workings of the business, never put their hands to the plow, so to speak. And so they roll out directives and plans for the company that adversely affect the employees. Say, we're doing this, but it doesn't make sense because we're in the trenches every single day. We see what's going on, and we see that this new mandate that the leader wants to rain down from Mount Olympus is actually going to cause us more grief and be detrimental to our clients. So the undercover boss goes in and acts as an employee, and the light bulb comes on. He hears what the employees are struggling with. He gets to understand a little more. So even with our kids, you get to understand a little more by practicing active listening and listening to them before jumping in with your own 2 cents. And then asking questions that show curiosity, not control. Curiosity, I'm curious, why did you say that? Why do you think that about daddy? Why do you think that about your leader? Or why do you think that about our company? In leadership, we want to practice active listening for our team. We want to create space for feedback, even when it's uncomfortable. Sometimes people will come into an organization, a church or a company, and find that the pastor or the business owner or the manager or the foreman has maybe ruled with an iron fist to the point where they don't have any say so. They don't have a voice, and so they've been afraid to make suggestions or afraid to share anything or any frustrations or even any feedback because they don't want to lose their job. I'm thinking of this story real quick, so I'm going to share it with you. So there was a controlled study that was done, and they put a bunch of monkeys inside of this room. And there was a pole in the middle of this room, and at the top of the pole was a bunch of bananas. And so the monkeys went in and climbed up the pole to grab a banana, but they would hose them down every time they'd go up to get a banana. And after a while, they stopped going up to get a banana. Well, then one day they removed one of the monkeys and put a new monkey in with the other 9 monkeys. That monkey, its desire was to run up the pole and grab a banana. Well, it ran up the pole, but the other monkeys grabbed that monkey and pulled it down. This monkey was not hosed down, it was pulled down by the other monkeys. And eventually, day after day, they kept swapping out the old monkey for the new monkey. And eventually, it got to a place where the last 10 of the monkeys never knew why they didn't go up to get the banana. They just knew that they couldn't do it. And that's how sometimes it is in our leadership practices. We've created an environment where no one can ring the bell, no one can grab the banana, and so we want to create a safe place, obviously in our homes, but also in our workplace, that people can approach us, that we are approachable. So you've probably heard this quote before: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So it's important that we have a listening ear, that we listen first and speak second. Second number 2 is to speak with integrity. Speak with integrity. What it means is to say what you mean and mean what you say. That's big. And then own your mistakes. I've often told parents when they are correcting their children, don't say things like, "I'm going to knock your block off," or "I'm going to smack you to the other side of the moon," or things like that, because we're not going to knock their block off, right? We're not going to do these things, but we want to say what we will do and what we won't do, right? And so we want to say what we mean, so that our children know that when we say what we say, we mean what we say. And so that they won't take advantage of us, or advantage of that loophole, because they know we're not going to knock their block off, right? Or hit them in the middle of next week. So, whatever you want to choose there. But you want to mean what you say. So it's so important to set the tone. This is what we're looking for in this home. Perhaps, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. This is what we do here. This is how we function. Or set the tone, the atmosphere at the workplace. Set the culture at the workplace. And here's another that I just shared is own your mistakes. I've had to share with my kids, hey kids, I was I was wrong. I made a mistake. Dad blew it. I overreacted. I didn't handle the situation right. I made the wrong choice. Sorry, didn't listen to you. I remember one time, there was 2 times I told my dad I wasn't going to church. And by the way, I'm a PK. That's a pastor's kid. And so we went to church. By golly, sleet, rain, or snow, we were at church. And sometimes it was just us 5 people. And we'd get to church and I'd say, well, Dad, who are you going to preach to? He says, I'm going to preach to you. Have a seat. and Dad would preach to us. But anyway, there was 2 times that I told my dad I wasn't going to church. And the first time was Dad had to give me an attitude adjustment, and then I went. There's that old song, I feel like traveling on. Yes, I feel like traveling on. Well, when you get the other side of the leather, you know what you're supposed to be doing. So Dad was setting a precedence. Anyway, the second time was I didn't have anything clean to wear. All I had was these funky striped pants. They were ugly. I don't even know why I had them. But I told Dad, I said, I can't go. I can't wear these. The kids are going to make fun of me. My dad said, they won't make fun of you. And so I went to church, and sure enough, the kids made fun of me. And I got home, and my dad said, son, I'm so sorry. I didn't think that would happen, but I'm so sorry that happened. And so, I felt that empathy from him at that time, that he really felt my pain. And so, but he owned that mistake, right? And so that made a difference in my life. And so when we apologize, when we mess up, it teaches that we have humility. It teaches humility. It teaches that posture of our heart. And it's so important that they know that you're with them, that even though they blow it, even though they make mistakes, you're showing grace to them, that you hope that they will give to you that same grace, right? As a leader. I hate it especially when you've scolded somebody for doing something and you do the same exact thing and they point it out to you. Yeah, but you just lied. All right, so this is at home. You apologize when you mess up because it teaches humility, and then keep promises, even small ones. That's why you want to, even in the correction side of things, you want to say what you mean and mean what you say. But also when it comes to things like, hey, when I get home, when Dad gets home, I'm taking you out for ice cream. Man, that kid's going to be waiting for you to get home, counting down the seconds to go and get ice cream. And so you want to keep your promises. So don't throw something out that you're not able to follow up with. And so in leadership, we want to be transparent about our decisions. We want to let them know this is why we're making the decisions, whether it's going to affect the whole the company or just a section of the company. And then admit when you don't have all the answers. A couple of different times, I think this is what it is. So we're having a Bible study at our church right now. We're going through Proverbs, and we're ripping the the top off the particular scriptures that we're going through to kind of really research them, and we've come to the portion in the scriptures where it's the tongue, the things that we say. Is it for flattery? Is it to puff up? Is it the voice or the lips of a fool? Versus those lips that are wise and speak wisdom. And so a couple of times it's come up that a lot of politicians, they're trained to answer the question. And usually they segue from one thing to the other, never really answering the question. They just do what's called word salad, right? They just spew out a bunch of stuff just so that they're talking. But what if they said, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. Let me get back to you. How powerful would that be? How transparent would that be? That they see that you don't have an answer for this. But you know what? I'm going to find out and I'm going to get back to you. Right? So that means that they're going to spend some time getting some information in that area to understand it more. And so this is what it means. Sometimes we don't have all the answers. Sometimes say, look, we're all in this together. I don't know how this is going to go, but this is the path we're taking. Are you with me? Let's go. Right? So ask participants to reflect. You can ask them, what's a promise that I've broken recently and how can I make it right? Okay? Maybe this is with your kids or with your team. Hey, have we rolled something out that we've not followed through with? Let us know what it is. So it's tough to be in that position because we always want to be right. We always want to have the answers. We always want to do the right thing. And when we don't, we're like Fonzie that I tried to, from Happy Days, that I tried to emulate just a moment ago. I was wrong, right? I was wrong. It's hard to admit when we're wrong because we feel that it makes us look weak. But admitting that we were wrong shows others that we are human, that we make mistakes, and that we blow it too. And so that's really important. So we show that we're willing to eat the crow. Sometimes we have to eat the crow. So number 3 is model resilience. Model resilience. Show them how to bounce back and not just to win. I wrote a song after 9/11, and I talked about in the song, I said, though we were shaken, we will not be moved. We will snap back with resilience and make everything new. And that's what we've done as a country. We've turned things around. There's even from a structure point of view, there's a beautiful building now in the heart of New York there. Obviously it's not going to repair the loss that we've taken from 9/11, but we've moved on, and we're doing so with that bit of pride, not the haughty pride, but that pride that says, you know what, we're going to be stronger than we were before. We're going to be more resilient. And so at home, we want our kids to see that we struggle, but we recover. We recover from setbacks, from job loss, from making mistakes. And then we talk about our failure as growth. John Maxwell has a book titled, Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. Oftentimes the phrase is, sometimes you lose. But if you learn from the mistake, then you're growing, right? You're learning what not to do the next time, right? And then in leadership, we want to share lessons from the setbacks. This is where we failed. This is where we blew it. So I was watching a new TV show that's out on YouTube right now. It's called The Promised Land. And it's hilarious. It's like The Chosen meets The Office. If you've seen both of those. But it's hilarious. But it gets to the nitty gritty sometimes too. So they've done a fantastic job to bring in humor, but also the seriousness of the day. And one of the powerful things in this was Moses was sitting down with one of the men that God had appointed to build the tabernacle of the Lord. And he felt like he was not worthy to do that. And then Moses said, well, listen, or he could have said this anyway. Hey, look, I killed the guy. I made a mistake and I killed this guy who's treating our people wrong. But God still chose me, right? God still chose me. And I'm leading his people, and David, adulterer, murderer, was still considered a man after God's own heart. Now, I'm not suggesting that any of us go out and kill somebody. But what I am saying is that God can use us still, that we can still be effective, that we can still make a difference in the lives of others that we lead, no matter if it's 1 or 101. So we want to celebrate the efforts, not just the outcomes, right? Sometimes things don't always go as planned. Sometimes you host events. Sometimes you have birthday parties for your kids, and not all the kids show up that said they were coming. And so, you just appreciate the effort of those that put the work into it, regardless if there's a great outcome or not. And then a teaching moment is this: your response to failure teaches more than your reaction to success.
Mm. Right.
I remember too from 9/11 is when President Bush stepped up on that makeshift podium there at Ground Zero, and he said, "We hear you. We hear you." There was something powerful about that moment. And the real leader rises when things hit the fan, when calamity strikes. The real leader shows up. Often leaders are in place because of seniority, right? Or because of just some kind of ranking system. But the real leader, will rise up when the challenge rises as well. Number 4 is lead with compassion. Lead with compassion. Kindness isn't a weakness, it's wisdom, right? It's it's desiring to be kind. My wife has a shirt that she wears often. It just says, "Be kind." Man, just be kind. Imagine how you can brighten someone's day just by being kind, which costs you nothing. Be kind. It's wisdom, right? You can attract, what is it? You can attract more bees with honey, I guess. So do that. So at home, you want to validate emotions, even when they're messy. Your child is angry. How can you validate that anger, right? How can you navigate through that time with them rather than telling them they're not allowed to be angry or they're not allowed to cry, but that we have an opportunity to show empathy with them, and that we show empathy in the discipline. Okay, so they did what you told them not to do, so now there comes a time of discipline. But we're showing empathy. We're remembering the times that we made the mistake. I just thought of a moment where of the movie Back to the Future, where Marty McFly is talking to his parents, and he's about to leave and get back in the DeLorean just after the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. And he says to his parents, he says, hey, when your kid spills something on the rug, makes a mess of it, go easy on him. So he was sharing with his parents who don't know that he's their kid, of this moment in time that really affected his life. He said, just go easy on him right there. So I remember, I'm telling on myself right now. So I remember my friend and I were in the backyard of the church. Our family lived in the church back in these days. We lived in the building. My bedroom was classroom by day, bedroom by night, right? Fantastic times. Anyway, my friend and I were in the back of the church on a Sunday afternoon, and we decided to play with matches. And we set the field behind the church on fire. Oh my gosh. There was, thankfully, there happened to be a guy right off to our side here that was watching us play with matches, and he was already on the run. As soon as the match hit the weeds, he was already like running up on us with an extra shovel in his hand. He tossed the shovel to me, and there we are, putting the fire out. And meanwhile, I had told my friend to run into the church and get a bucket of water. And so he's in there getting a bucket of water. And my mom's going, "Why do you need a bucket of water?" Because of a fire. And so anyway, thankfully that gentleman, the neighbor, and I got the fire out by just hitting it with the shovel. But this is what ended up happening. So, and to this day, I don't remember what happened to my friend, how they ended up taking care of him. But what they did with me is Dad made me sit in his bedroom while he was taking a nap Sunday afternoon. And so there I sat in the dark while he was sleeping, just shaking because I thought that, okay, he's going to wake up here and give me the brown side of the leather, right? And he woke up and just got ready for the evening service, and there we went. But I got to tell you, that was probably the most memorable correction he ever gave me, was to have me sit in that dark room, worried about how the punishment was going to come out. I'll never forget that moment. So yeah, there's different ways that you can correct, but that was a very effective one, and I'm not even sure that he knew how effective that was, but I remember it very clearly to this day. So number one, don't set fire to the church, to the field behind the church. Okay. All right. So show empathy and discipline. All right. In leadership, we want to lead with people first policies. The people that work for us are not numbers. They're people. Treat others as you would want to be treated. That's so important. Recognize the emotional labor and burnout that your people could have. Perhaps do your own undercover boss sometimes. Get down where the people are at. See what they experience, what they go through. And then make the company in a way that can relate to them. But obviously there's some jobs that are very hard, that we have to stick it out, that we have to risk that we have to sacrifice for. But if they know your heart, again, going back to that quote, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If you care for them, if your ultimate goal is to look out for their well-benefit, then you're going to do something, or they're going to trust you in the decisions that are being made. So, where can we lead with more compassion this week? Think about that. Where can I lead with more compassion? In the home or in the workplace? As a CEO or even as a pastor, how can I lead with more compassion? And then lastly, number 5, stay curious. Stay curious. Curiosity keeps you growing and keeps others inspired. I did this leadership teaching a while back, and I acted like the Godfather, and I said, if you're through growing, you're through, right? So you always want to be growing, right? And so curiosity, when you're intrigued, when you want to know more about something, your child drew a picture and you say, oh, what is that? Why did you draw that? And you're asking questions. You're showing interest in that thing that your child is doing. And then you're exploring new ideas together with your child. Dad, what would happen if you did this? I don't know. Let's see. And go on that journey together. Let your kids teach you something. There's a thought. Let your kids teach you something. In leadership, you can ask, what if more often? What if we try this? What if we do that? Right? It encourages innovation and learning. If we've empowered our people, we're going to tap into the God-given gift in them, the God-given creativity in them. And we're going to find out they may have a better way of doing this thing than we do. So empower them, wind them up, and turn them loose, right? What's something I stopped being curious about, and how can I reignite that? That's the question. Think about that. What's something I stopped being curious about, and how can I reignite that curiosity? That's so important. As we come in for a close on this, I want to give you some tips to apply these tips that we've talked about. And the way we lead at home is the foundation of how we need to lead everywhere. You know, my mom and dad were the same people off the stage as they were on the stage. They were truly people that I would want to model. My dad was not only my father, but my mentor, right? It's somebody I looked up to. Yeah, I got in my teenage years and tried to pull away and be my own man, but at the end of the day, Dad still had more wisdom than I do. You know how you become a teenager and you know everything, and then you get older and you find out you don't know anything. And so, anyway, but you want to lead at home the way you want to lead others in the public square. So if your children trust you, your team will likely trust you too. Hey, you want to get to know your leader more? Talk to their children. And then if you're consistent off stage, you'll be credible on stage. Right? People will want to trust you because you're the same person. And you don't change just when the light turns on. You know, I've seen people even in the church world, the day-to-day talking and we're hanging out and everything's cool. And then when they get behind the microphone, they're like all prim and proper. I'm like, who is this person? You know, I agree with doing things with excellence, but you're becoming a completely different person. It seems fake. So you don't want to do that. Be consistent. And leadership is not a role. It's a reflection of your values, right? This is who I am. This is my life, transparent, glass house, right? This is who I am. Take it or leave it. I'm hoping that I live in a way that brings glory to God and honors people in my life, but this is who I am. Now, is there some places I need to work on in my life? Absolutely. And I'm willing to do so, but we all need to do that. And we all need to give grace to others and to each other as we grow together, as we learn to be better leaders. And here's the final takeaway. To be the kind of leader your children would brag about, not just because you're perfect, but because you're real.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, is that powerful or what? All because you are real. That's so powerful. My former pastors, man, just were dynamic people. And they blazed the trail. They showed what it means to be a leader. Not perfect, but consistent. And I appreciated that. They were real. The flaws were all on the outside, and they weren't hidden. And they never tried to be someone that they weren't. And that's what I appreciated. And I think others will appreciate that too, and they'll follow you. Because you are a person of character and integrity, even when you blow it, even when you do something that tarnishes that integrity, but you're admitting your mistakes and you're becoming more like the leader that you know that you can be. And especially with the help of the Lord, we can accomplish great things. But that's it. That's it for today for this leadership lesson. I hope that you got something out of it. And if you have any questions or comments, I'd like to hear from you. But otherwise, have a blessed day and be the leader that your children would want to follow, even if you're not a parent. God bless.